Okay, well now we're going to invite Reverend Karen to come up, and she's going to talk to us. Did you guys notice there's an earth here on this table as well? So look at that. Look at that.
So this earth on this table, do you see any of who made this right here? Yeah, some of you drew on these. Wow. Yours is right over there. Yeah, look at that. So today we have a story. There are all kinds of things, it's a representation of everybody in the community. So even if you can't find exactly what's yours, you can bet that somebody... No. So today we have a story that's about a big tree. How about that? And what we're going to do is all of us are going to join in this. So there are going to be some points where I'm going to ask you if you want to play a part, right? Oh, and you're going to come and help with that. Okay? That'll be fun. I know you see all the stuff already. We're going to gather over here first, though, and we're going to let Reverend Pam start the story for us. Ooh.
So, in the Amazon rainforest, it is always hot. And in that heat, everything grows and grows and grows. And the tops of the trees in the rainforest are called the canopy. And the canopy is the sunny place where the sun actually reaches the tops of the trees. And the animals that live up there, they like a lot of light. And the bottom of the rainforest is called the understory. And the animals that live in the understory like it a lot darker. And in the steamy environment, there's this giant tree called the Great Kapok Tree. Do we have a picture? Isn't that a ginormous tree? It is so big, it would probably take up this whole room. It would be so big at the bottom of it. So this story is about a community of animals that live around this Great Kapok Tree. So one day, 2 people walked into the rainforest. So we have 2 people coming into the rainforest. Now, moments before, the forest had been alive with the sounds of squawking birds and howling monkeys, and now all was quiet as the creatures watched the 2 people walk right up to the tree. The larger person stopped and pointed to the great kapok tree and then turned around and left. And the other person stayed.
Everything is upside down.
It's okay. The man took the axe and he carried it to the trunk of the tree and went whack, whack, whack. And the sounds of the blows rang through the forest. Crack! The wood of the tree was so heavy. He kept chopping, whacking and chopping and whacking. Finally, he paused and wiped some sweat from his brow. He started up again. Chop, whack. But soon the man grew tired. He had to sit down to rest at the feet of the great kapok tree. And you know what? Before he knew it, the heat and the hum of the forest had lulled him into sleep. A boa constrictor living near the kapok tree slithered down its trunk to where the man was sleeping.
Do you want to be a boa constrictor? Anybody want to be a boa constrictor? Look, it's a little... I heard these first. There are plenty. There you go.
Come on up, boa constrictor.
You need to go up to the man. Oh, with the big axe.
And the snake looked at the sleeping person. He looked at the gash the axe had made in the tree. Then the huge snake slid very close to the man and hissed right at him.
Oh, Senor, this tree is full of miracles. This is my home where generations of my ancestors have lived. Do not trap it down.
Okay, thank you, boa constrictor. Next, a butterfly. A butterfly. There's a butterfly. If you really want, you better go closer because people are going to be fighting over. But you know, we could have more than one butterfly. So if you want to be a butterfly, we could have more than one butterfly. Come on up. We don't have more wings, but you can fly.
You could just pretend. We are in the moment of pretend.
Pretend.
Awesome.
So come on up. Anybody who
Come
wants
on
to be a
up, all
butterfly,
butterflies,
fly
come
up
on
to
up
see
to
the
the
man.
man.
Okay.
Oh, Senor, the flowers. I need to grow in this kapok tree, and I fly from tree and flower to flower collecting pollen. In this way, I pollinate the tree and flowers throughout the rainforest. All living things depend on one another.
Next, we need a bunch of you because a whole troop of monkeys came into the clearing. A whole bunch of monkeys. Come on up, monkeys.
Come on up, monkeys.
Come on up, monkeys. And they went right up to the sleeping man.
Senor, we have seen the ways of man. You chopped out one tree, back for another. The roots of these great trees, they wither and die. And there will be nothing left to hold the earth in place. When the heavy rains come, you think they run around them this way? Heavy rains come, the soil will be washed away. The forest will become a desert.
Okay. Okay, thanks, monkeys. All right, and then a bright, colorful macaw came flying into this clearing, and the macaw flew right up to the man, and the macaw spoke directly to him as he slept.
Oh, Senor, do you know what we animals and humans need to live? You can fly around with that. Yeah. We need oxygen, Senor. Do you know what trees produce? Oxygen. If you cut the trees and forests down, you will destroy that which gives us life. That which gives us life.
Goodness. Then a jaguar who had been sleeping along a branch in the middle of the tree. Oh, that's the frog. Oh, Mr. Frog. A bright and small tree frog crawled along the edge of a leaf. In a squeaky voice, he went right up to the man and piped in his ear.
Senor, a rainforest means ruined lives. Many ruined lives. We will leave many of us homeless if you chop down this great kapok tree.
Now there was a jaguar who had been sleeping along a branch in the middle of the tree. Because his spotted coat blended in with the dappled sunlight and the shadows of the understory, no one had even noticed him. Now he leapt down and padded silently over to the sleeping man. He growled in his ear.
Senor, the kapok tree is home to many birds and animals, the monkeys and the butterflies, the macaws and the snakes. If you cut it down, where will I find my dinner?
Finally, a child from the Yanomamo tribe who lived in the rainforest walked into the clearing. Who wants? There could be more. The rest of you who want to be children. There can be more than one child. There can be many children who wander into the clearing.
Okay. And even if you don't walk in, you're right here.
So the child says to the sleeping man,
Senor, when you awake, please look upon all of us. Look upon all that you see with new eyes. Look upon the playful monkey and the children and the snakes and the butterflies and the frogs and the birds that are so beautiful. Look upon the jaguar who's looking for dinner. Oh, man, look upon us with new eyes.
The sleeping person starts waking up and rubbing his eyes. Finally, he wakes with a start and looks around him at the child and all of the animals that were just standing staring at him. They were all the creatures who depended upon the great kapok tree. What wondrous and rare animals they were. The man looked and saw the sun streaming through the canopy, saw the sprouts of bright light glowing like jewels in the dark green forest, and the strange and beautiful plants all around him. The man smelled the fragrant perfume of the flowers seeming to hang in the air and felt the steamy mist rising from the ocean floor. But he heard no sound, for the creatures were strangely silent in the story. The man picked up his axe. He swung back his arm as if to strike the tree, but then he stopped. He turned and looked at the animals and the children. He hesitated, and then he just let the axe drop and walked out of the forest. And then I want everybody to take a bow, including our... Come on, stand up and bow, because you all took part. Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you, Tony, so much. And now join us in singing our recessional hymn as we sing the children onto their classroom. I think it'll be a fun day today.
As you go on your way, may you be filled with gladness. Go in joy, go in joy. May fortune bless your day with peace and loving kindness. Go in love, go in love.
Is Nancy here? Oh, was Nancy going to give us a wrap-up? Oh, there, she's right there. You both are. Yo, Nancy and Mari. Yay, awesome.
Good morning. So I'm Nancy Dempsey, and this is Mari Van Meter, my co-chair for the Time and Talent Auction this year. And we bear glad tidings. This year's auction, Hope Rises, grossed $35,000 and counting. And this is in support of Chalice House, POC, ICDI, Faith in Place, and Countryside Church. What I find most amazing about this event is the tremendous collective effort that this congregation puts forth to make this fundraiser a success. There were over 100 people bidding at the live auction party and participating in the online auction. I put 50 people donating their time and talent, although we need to count the children of RE as more than one for creating that table. So I don't know, 60, 70 or more. We have 30 volunteers who helped with Atherton Hall setup, food prep, kitchen duties, cleanup, and check-in and check-out. And Mari and I were talking about how we've gotten spoiled with having such a reliable team that we've been able to depend upon over a number of years. Ed Monson is the taskmaster of the kitchen, and Judy Ball and John Evans organize the bar. Members of the OSC committee, Bill Scown, Mike Berry, Margaret Myron, and Lillian Schnitzler, provided immeasurable support throughout the process. I will be available after this service for the next 2 weeks still taking bids on unsold items and service partner offerings. I actually had a couple of complaints this morning that people were raising their paddle and didn't get to bid on something. So it's still possible to do that. There will be sheets in Atherton Hall. And I'll also be there if you haven't paid. I can accept your payment. And if you have an item that you won that you need to pick up, you may do that also. And I will turn it over to Mari.
I told her I was just going to say ditto to everything she said. But I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. I get the delight of being the party planner, but a party that's planned doesn't get done unless you have a lot of worker bees, and we had a lot of worker bees. And Ed asked me to call out and thank all of the people who helped him in the kitchen. They were really invaluable. All those 6 massive salads that I gave them recipes for, they spent hours prepping and preparing for you. So thank you so much for everybody's participation and enjoyment of the party, and I'm so happy that it was such a success and we raised so much money. So give yourselves a hand. Thank you.
Which goes to show you that together, with generosity of spirit, financial gifts, time, and love, we'll fulfill our mission. We can create a community, we can inspire, heal, and belong. Thanks to Mari and Nancy and the wonderful team. The offering will now be gratefully received.
I invite you out of that beautiful space to put your feet on the floor. Allow any anxiety that may still be lingering in your body to drain down Down your back, your spine, your legs, out the bottom of your feet into the rich, dark earth below us. The earth who holds us, no matter what is weighing on our bodies, on our minds. Our words today are from Mary Oliver. My work is loving the world. Here the sunflowers, there the hummingbird, equal seekers of sweetness. Here the quickening yeast, there the blue plums. Here the clam, deep in the speckled sand. Are my boots old? Is my coat torn? Am I no longer young and still half perfect? Let me keep my mind on what matters, which is my work, which is mostly standing still and learning to be astonished. The phoebe, the delphinium, the sheep in the pasture, and the pasture, which is mostly rejoicing since all the ingredients are here, which is gratitude, to be given a mind and a heart and these body clothes, a mouth which gives shouts of joy for the moth and the wren, to the sleepy, dug-up clam, telling them all over and over how it is that we live forever. In this space, with our hearts wide open, we recognize the joys and concerns within this congregation. And remind you, if you have something weighing on your heart, please contact us and let us know. We are grateful to share that although Bill Scown is under observation at Northwest Memorial Hospital and was not able to join us last night when he had put so much work into it, that he is anticipating the installation of a pacemaker and feeling okay. We send him love and prayers to him and Jeannie as they navigate one of those unexpected detours of life. Leslie Pete wrote in and shared that Marjorie Leon is in the hospital recovering from abdominal surgery. We also send her lots of love and care for quick healing. And we received word that Richard Urban came through his surgery and is doing okay. He will be recovering in ICU and then at home with his sister Denise. Our continued love goes out to Richard. For any other intentions which rest in your heart this morning, know that you are held, you are loved. Please remain seated as we sing Spirit of Life.
The first reading this morning is a reflection by Joan McIntyre. It's collected from the Sisters of the Earth, Women's Prose and Poetry About Nature. There was a time in our culture, not long ago, when the essential role of men and women was to nurture and protect each other, to be caretakers of life and earth. At that time, when the sun sparkled on the sea of our imagination as freshly as it sparkled on the sea itself, we thought of our world and each other in ways that were life-venerating and death-respecting. The porpoise school that weaves its history protectively around its common existence, the whales that tune body and mind in a continuous awareness of life, are not symbols of an alien mythology. They are evocative of what was once the core of human relationships. Thus ends the reading. The second reading is The Great Turning by Joanna Macy. The Great Turning is a name for the essential adventure of our time, the shift from the industrial growth society to a life-sustaining civilization. The ecological and social crises we face are caused by an economic system dependent on accelerating growth. This self-destructing political economy sets its goals and measures its performance in terms of ever-increasing corporate profits. In other words, by how fast materials can be extracted from the earth and turned into consumer products, weapons, and waste. A revolution is underway because people are realizing that our needs can be met without destroying our world. We have the technical knowledge, the communication tools, and material resources to grow enough food, ensure clean air and water, and meet rational energy needs. Future generations, if there is a livable world for them, will look back at the epical transition we are making to a life-sustaining society. And they may well call this the time of the Great Turning. It is happening now. Thus ends the reading.
In the 5th grade, I won the science fair with a project on climate change that featured a papier-mâché ozone layer with a giant hole through which a papier-mâché sun burned the skin of a Barbie in a bikini on a lawn chair, glaciers melting like ice cubes in her lemonade. It was 1987, in a town that could have invented red hats, but the school principal gave me a gold ribbon and not a single bit of attitude about my radical political stance, because neither he nor I knew it was a political stance. Science had not yet been fully framed as leftist propaganda. The president did not have a Twitter feed starving the world of facts. I spent that summer, as I had every summer before, racing to the forest behind my house down the path my father called the old logging road to a meadow thick with raspberry bushes whose thorns were my very first heroes, because they did nothing with their life but protect what was sweet. Sundays, I went to church, but struggled to call it prayer if it didn't leave grass stains on my knees. Couldn't call it truth if it didn't come with a dare to crawl into the cave by the creek and stay there until somebody counted all the way to 100. As a kid, I thought 100 was the biggest number there was. My mother absolutely blew my mind the day she said 101. 100 and what? Billionaires never grow out of doing that same math with years, can't conceive of counting past their own lifespans, believe the world ends the day they do. Why are the keys to our future in the hands of those who have the longest commutes from their heads to their hearts, whose greed is the smog that keeps us from seeing our own nature and the sweetness we are here to protect? Do you know sometimes when gathering nectar, bees fall asleep in flowers? Do you know fish are so sensitive, snowflakes sound like fireworks when they land on the water? Do you know whales will follow their injured friends to shore, often taking their own lives so to not let their loved ones be alone when they die? None of this is poetry. It is just the earth being who she is, in spite of us putting barcodes on the sea, in spite of us acting like Edison invented daylight. Dawn presses her blushing face to my window, asks me if I know the records in my record collection look like like the insides of trees. Yes, I say, there is nothing you have ever grown that isn't music. You are the bamboo in Coltrane's saxophone reed, the mulberries that fed the silkworms that made the slippers for the ballet, the pine that built the loom, that wove the hemp for Frida Kahlo's canvas, the roses that dyed her paint, hoping her brush could bleed for her body. Who more than the earth has bled for us? How do we not mold our hearts after the first spruce tree who raised her hand and begged to be cut into piano keys so the elephants could keep their tusks? The earth is the right side of history, is the canyon my friend ran to when no one else he knew would echo his chosen name back to him, is the wind that wailed through 1956 Alabama until the poplar tree carved itself into Dr. King's pulpit, is the volcano that poured the mercury into the thermometer held under the tongue of Italy, though she knew our fever was why her canals were finally running clear. She took our temperature, told us we were too hot, even after we'd spent decades claiming she was not. Our hands held to her burning forehead. We insisted she was fine, while wildfires turned redwoods to toothpicks, readying the teeth of the apocalypse. She sent a smoke signal all the way from California to New York City. Ash fell from the sky. Do you know the mountains of California used to look like they'd been set on fire because they were so covered in monarch butterflies? Do you know monarch butterflies migrate 3,000 miles using only the fuel they stored as caterpillars in the cocoon? We need so much less than we take. We owe so much more than we give. Squirrels plant thousands of trees every year just from forgetting where they left their acorns. If we aim to be just half as good as one of the earth's mistakes, we could turn so much around. Our living would be seed. The future would have roots. We would cast nothing from the garden of itself, and we would make the thorns proud.
Some of you might recognize a little bit of that from a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to hear the whole thing. Today, we're celebrating Earth Day, which should of course be every day, and today's version might be a little bit different than you're used to. 8 years ago, we could have been celebrating the signing of the Paris Agreement on climate change, feeling that the world was finally paying attention and we might be going in the right direction. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, we still believed that if we just recycled enough, if we just did what we were supposed to, the world was going to be saved. We could save it. Today, especially with the state of our leadership and around the world, Earth Day feels bittersweet. If you're paying attention, it might be hard to find the joy. But while it's hard, there are still good things to pay attention to. I hope many of you read Leslie Pete's article in the newsletter this week. There's always a spark of hope. Renewables have gotten less and less and less expensive in recent years and are actually cheaper than some fossil fuels, especially coal. The president can push coal all he wants, but energy companies have figured out that it's not making them any money. So they're abandoning it. Yay. That's what they care about. And in many red states, renewable energy is creating better jobs than the ones that they lost with fossil fuel. So red states are turning toward renewable energy. Pure practicality is trumping the insane ideology. Yay. But so what? Really? We've already passed so many of those lines in the sand that they said, if we don't stop it by here, all is lost. I kind of feel like we're getting on board a little bit too little, too late. Earth Day feels sad. Maybe we can't save the planet. But you know what? That doesn't mean the planet can't be saved. It doesn't mean that the Earth herself can't provide solutions that we might never imagine. It doesn't mean that technologies may not be developed that can undo much of the damage. If there's one thing I can say without a doubt, it's that it is the hubris of thinking that we knew everything we needed to know, which got us into this mess in the first place. And so it may be just as arrogant to say we know there's no way forward. Because really, we never know what we don't know. That leaves us. I think our best choice is humility. It's with the acknowledgement that life is so much richer and wilder and more unpredictable, more wondrous than any of us are aware, that maybe we should just stop and listen and pay attention. We should do our part, always, always, always. Do what we know we are called to do. But then also at the same moment, surrender to the mystery of life that is so much bigger than us. In describing the work of climate activist John Seed, Joanna Macy tells an experience he had which changed his understanding of the work that he was doing. He was doing protests down in the Amazon, trying to save Amazonian rainforest. And she writes, in the midst of conflict with nothing but their bodies between the loggers and the trees, John suddenly had an experience of deeply knowing clearly who he was. He said, I felt rooted in all of life, in the primordial cradle of existence, end quote. John's story grabbed Joanna's attention. The activists were not winning the battle against deforestation, and it was clear that even if the activists won every battle, they would still not make a dent. John saw this with total realism, and yet he kept giving his whole life to the work. Joanna asked him, how do you deal with the despair? He answered, that week, I had a realization of who I really was. It wasn't John Seed protecting the rainforest. It was the rainforest protecting herself through the humanity that she had cradled into life. End quote. The rainforest was protecting herself, using humans as an extension of her beingness. What a profound way of experiencing the interconnected web of life. Joanna continued, if we could feel the earth acting through us, if we could experience being held by a power greater than our own, it would change everything. We would feel graced. Graced, connected, not alone, not isolated, not left out of what is real, but fully engaged and immersed in what is most important, fully engaged and immersed in life itself. It's a big shift, isn't it? It's a big shift from hopping in our car and driving and thinking that we are this atomic person all by ourselves, not connected. How can we make that shift? How can we go from experiencing ourselves as outside of the garden into living extensions of the garden itself? Macy said the most radical thing any of us can ever do is to be fully present to what is happening in the world around us. Meaning, we have to see the destruction. We have to let our hearts be broken open by it. In the face of social and ecological crisis, despair can transform the clarity of vision into constructive and collaborating action. Because being broken open helps us to see the world in a different way, and it frees us from all those assumptions that we think are truths. All those assumptions which are threatening the planet as we know it right now. And that's hard, isn't it? It's really, really hard to look deeply into the pain and the despair. It's really hard to let ourselves feel that awful discomfort, that terror, that pain of knowing how broken things are around us. And we usually try to avoid that, don't we? We try to avoid feeling that sadness. Who wants that? But it's the other side of the coin of joy. This month has been celebrating joy, but joy cannot exist by itself. Joy is always on the other side of despair, on the other side of sadness, on the other side of grief. The two go together. So allowing ourselves to open to the sadness allows ourselves to open to the joy that's hiding within that sadness. It's being alive to the deepest truth of this reality and living into it with our whole beings. This difficult path leaves us standing before the goddess, the earth, the flow of the universe, and admitting that maybe, just maybe, we should simply try to live within that connection, live within that relationship, live within who we know we are and who this reality is all around us. Because we never know exactly what's going to happen. And we can choose to who we are going to be, no matter what that uncertainty is. We can choose to love this planet and acknowledge our dependence with gratitude. We can choose to trust that there is something much bigger than our own small selves in which we can take refuge. We can know that even if it's hard, if there is such thing as reincarnation, I think it means we're all finding ourselves in graduate level classes right now. Because it means we have to figure out what it means to act as enlightened humans even when we don't know what's coming, even if we don't know the end of the story, even when we don't have no promise that it's going to be okay. Each week in this church, we talk about how deeply we are connected to the natural world, how our bodies are made up of stardust and energy. Each week we gather to remember that none of us is all that, and every single one of us is all that. Each week we gather to hold on to beauty and goodness of the world around us. Each week we gather to simply say, thank you. We gather today on Earth Day to grieve together for all that is being lost, all that we have no control over. But we also gather to find the joy right outside our window. We gather for the trees which are blossoming all around us, for the flowers which have been coming up. Take a walk around the church. Don't go straight home. Look at all the bulbs which have come up. I didn't notice, because I forget to notice things. I had asked Louise to put the pictures of the bulbs and all the flowers, so I hope they were up at some point during the service. No? Maybe we'll play them a little bit later. Or now. You could put them up now if you want. But it'd be even better if you walked around the building and went and saw them in person rather than just looking at the pictures. I'm going to invite you now into a ritual now. You were invited to pick up a rock as you came in the door. If you did not get one, there's still a bowl on the middle aisle with some rocks. I want you to take your rock and hold on to it. Feel how solid it feels. And then think about if you were looking at your rock under a microscope and going deeper and deeper and deeper, you would get to a place where there was nothing there that you could see. There was nothing but energy spinning. There was only a relationship between electrons and protons and subatomic particles who have an agreement to coexist as a rock for a certain amount of time. And we know our bodies do the exact same things. If we look deeper and deeper and deeper at our deepest level, our physical being, we are nothing more than an agreement between subatomic particles to stay in a relationship for a certain period of time. So hold your rock and put your hand out in front of you for a minute. Just hold it up in the air. And as you're holding it, imagine if you held it for 5 minutes. How heavy would that rock get to be? If you hold it for an hour, if you held it for 8 hours, your arm would want to fall off, right? And right now, we are holding so many things in our body. You can pull it back in. You don't have to hold that rock. What are we carrying that we're carrying every day in our bodies? What burdens, what fears, what things that we can't even put a name to some days? So sometimes we just need to set that rock down. Sometimes we just need to set what we're carrying down. You saw this beautiful table that so many of you participated in creating. So I'm going to invite you in a minute to come up and lay your rock down on that table if that calls to you. But some of you may want to take your rock home. Some of you may want to use it as a reminder that you are earth. A reminder to act every day with reciprocity and connection. To say thank you every day for air and water and sustenance and joy. Maybe you want to take your walk and go for a walk way out into the wild areas. Have it in your pocket as you're walking and looking. Take it out and confess your hopes and your dreams to this living stone. Know that you are both spinning energy, inhabiting a singular reality in relationship, despite our vast differences. I'm going to ask Karen to sing a song called Tending the Spirit as we move, as we need to, around the sanctuary. You can come up and put your rock down, or you can hold onto your rock and think how you're going to continue your relationship with it.
And we will care for each other as the world around us unravels, and we will tend to the spark of hope that lives within our beating heart. We will hear now in this present moment, lifting our voices and hearts. And we are here now, we have come together, we are tending the spark of and we will care for each other as the world around us unravels, and we will tend to the spark of hope that lives within our beating heart. And we are here now in this present moment, lifting our voices and song. And we are here now, we have come together, we are tending the spark of and we will care, and we will care, and we will care for each other, tending the spark of hope.
I hope everyone who dropped a stone can just breathe that out. Whatever you've put down, whatever you let go. Because we can trust that the earth will take care of herself. And our job is simply to remember that we are earth. It seems a long cry from where we are now. But I trust that if we are to survive as a species, we have to be the ones beginning to shift the consciousness. We have to find the ways to see what is actually happening, gather in groups to support one another, and then consciously change how we are going to live on this earth. Transforming from people walking on top of the earth to people who understand that we are the earth caring for herself. It's a tall order. It's not easy. But just like everything else that asks so much of us, When we can rise to the occasion, we gain so much in return. We let go of that feeling of being all by myself, alone, with so much terrible things, and we realize that we are this living, breathing beingness, and that we are with a bunch of other people who are walking and breathing and singing with us. John Seed said in that moment he knew who he was. And that did not stop his work, that supercharged the work he did for the earth. We might never know what's going to happen. We only have to remember who we are and that we will live forever on this earth. And so there's nothing to be afraid of. I'm going to say thank you to this amazing vibrations that are being shared with us today. Amen and blessed be. We just want to say a special thank you to the day for our amazing strings. This is Karen Nurani on violin, Hamilton Avila on violin, and he did many of the arrangements too. Thank you, Hamilton. Alan Greenland on cello, and Janice, as always, on piano. Thank you. Thank you. What?
One more seat at the auction for...
One. Oh. Okay, one more seat at the auction. There you go. See, this was a lovely demonstration.
Please join in saying our closing words together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of its truth, the warmth of this community, nor the fire of our commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. Please rise in body or spirit and sing our beloved Blue Boat Home.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. You can sway if you want to. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I fly the starry sea, bleeding over companions, all with kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heaven. Our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, breathe the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port am I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Please be seated. Closing words are from Joanna Macy. We have a longing to come home to the sacredness of our belonging to the living body of earth. We can't do it alone. Even looking requires we reach out and take each other's arms. The very steps we need to bring relief reward the whole point of it, which is our collective nature, our non-separateness. This is the only thing which can ever save us. Go out today and enjoy this beautiful spring Sunday.